have to deal with lots of difficult tasks which they find difficult, but maybe they more experienced colleagues see as very simple. They're afraid to ask for help, and sometimes they have to deal with difficult colleagues and managers. That probably sounds a little bit discouraging, but there are lots of things that are absolutely within your control that you can do when you start at your first job or the second job. It doesn't even matter. These things will help you at every stage of your career. So you can see on the screen a few things, and I will talk about them in detail. So learning the ropes. So the first thing that you obviously need to do when you start at a new job as a software developer, you need to set up your development environment. You need to get all the tools and get access to all the systems that other developers are using. If some of those tools and systems are not familiar to you, just spend some time to learn how to use them. You can find tutorials for most of them, or just talk to your colleagues if that's some unique tool or some old system that you can find anything about online. People will in general be very happy to help you. Once you get familiar with all those tools and things, you should pay attention to how the team actually operates on a daily basis. It's possible that your team will have something like a team handbook or a set of working agreements. Not every team has them, but if they exist, that's really good. It's a really good start. And this document will tell you things like how people collaborate on tasks, how they do planning, how they review code, what they expect from peer review, what they expect from comments, how many approvals you need. If you need some help, how can you ask for that? How you can offer help, and so on. Read those documents, and if you don't understand something, if something is unclear, talk to your manager. It's your manager's job to help you and set you up for success. If things like that don't exist, don't really worry too much. Just talk to your manager about them or talk to your more senior colleagues. There will be also things in your team, something like unspoken rules. Things about what time people start working, when people have lunch, when people go to grab coffee, what they do on Fridays, and so on. It's important to pay attention to those things, because once you notice those patterns, it will be easier for you to find opportunities to socialize with your coworkers and build relationships with them. So next thing, connecting with your colleagues. It's very important to build professional relationships with your colleagues. And one of the first things is to understand what each of them specializes in. That will really be helpful to you, because when you start working on different parts of the application, you may need help from, let's say, a front-end developer, back-end developer, or infrastructure engineer, or let's say SEO specialist or a designer. And if you know what your colleagues do, it will be much easier for you to find some help. Find an opportunity to collaborate with everyone. If you have a luxury to choose tasks to work on, just find some small problems to solve which touch different parts of the application, and find who of your colleagues may help you with that. And if you, let's say, pair on a problem, or just you write your code and ask someone to review your code, that will be a very nice icebreaker between you and those people. And it will just be an opportunity for you to learn from more experienced people. Try to find opportunity to work with everyone, no matter how different that person is to you. And maybe it may look very scary, and some people may look a little bit disagreeable sometimes, but in reality, they may be just a bit shy, not very outgoing, and they will be very happy to work with you and chat with you, but they just also might have some kind of difficulties communicating with other people. So if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask them. As a junior developer, you are expected to ask lots of questions and not to know everything in the world. Just don't forget to do your homework first. If you're, let's say, working on a problem, on some task, and you don't know how to do it, spend maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes on finding a solution, and then ask a colleague if you can't solve it. it's probably a good idea to frame your question something like, here's what I want to achieve. I tried this, I tried that, but nothing really seems to help. So can you please help me? When you ask for help, try to ask your colleagues to teach you, not just to explain how things get done. Many developers really like sharing their knowledge with their colleagues, and it's just a nice opportunity for them to show off a little bit. Yeah, it's just a nice excuse to have a chat and work with someone. Try to learn more about your colleagues as humans. Many people have different, various interests outside the work. Some may be into running, into surfing, cycling, other sports, or board games, or things like that. You may find that, let's say, people, if you're working for a bigger company, you may find that people have some like small clubs. For example, in Ferocia, we play board games every fortnight on Thursdays, because quite a few people really like board games. I used to work for Envato, and we had the Envato running group, so we were tracking each other's progress and kind of like competing a little bit. In general, try to be, just be genuinely friendly and curious professional. Just show people that you are genuinely interested in them as professionals and as humans, and talk to them about their previous jobs, about their career path, because you may find some examples and which will be useful for you in your career. So, for example, you can find like a role model or something like that. Maybe that sounds a little bit kind of too much, but knowing the journey that your colleagues have made so far from, let's say, junior developers, let's say they started maybe 4, 5, 7 years ago, it will give you an idea what your career may look like in, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years in the future. Absorb knowledge. It's very important to learn as much stuff as possible about these systems and the applications you're working with, because the more you know, the more important and complex tasks you will be able to do, and the more your value is to the company. So that's pretty much the path for your career growth, which leads to kind of getting rid of the junior word in your job title and becoming a developer. Try to understand why the application was built in a certain way, because some things may look very odd to you, or they may be done in a way that, let's say, you read about some really good way to solve a specific problem, but that problem may be solved in a different way in the application. And it may look strange, may look weird, but maybe there is a reason for that. So ask your colleagues about that. I would, in general, don't recommend to criticize the way things are in your team in the first maybe few weeks or a few months, because often there is a reason why things in the team are the way they are, why people are using specific tools, technologies, or specific processes. And let's say in a few weeks or a few months, you will get familiar, like you will understand more, and you probably all those things that seem strange will start making sense to you. Try to seek opportunities to work on different parts of the app. If you, as I said, if you have a luxury to pick the tasks that you're going to work on, then just pick them wisely. Let's say if you work 1 week or one couple of weeks on front end, then try to find some backend tasks. Or let's say if you're working on a mobile app, then mobile apps also typically work with a backend. So find a chance to work with mobile code, with backend code, with databases, with infrastructure. The more you know, the more you understand, and the more valuable you become to the company and the team. Understand your strengths and weaknesses. This is a very important thing, and at the very beginning of your career, the rate at which you acquire knowledge is very fast. So, for example, if a developer spent, let's say, 7 years in the industry, next year will not be a breakthrough for the developer, most likely. They will kind of be generally as good as they used to be a year ago. But if you start as a junior developer, every, let's say, 4 to 6 months make lots of difference. And developers who spend, let's say, 6 months in the industry and developers spend a year and a half in the industry, they're very different. The difference is quite big. So it's very important for you to evaluate the things that you are, understand the things that you are doing well and the things that you are not doing very well yet. Because with the things that you are doing well, you can pick more tasks there and you can get better. Let's say if you're really good with, I don't know, let's say with JavaScript, then if you like JavaScript and you're good at it, then you can learn more let's say more frameworks, more tools, and so on. But let's say if you are not really good with, let's say, infrastructure, but you would like to get better there, you will be able to, if you know that you're not great with infrastructure, you will be able to either learn more about that or make a decision that, let's say, infrastructure is something that I'm not really need to be familiar with these days, and maybe I will be able to get better at it, let's say next year or sometime in the future. Share your understanding of your strengths and weaknesses with your manager, because that will help you build more trust and will set some expectations, because people, they will know that, let's say, if you're working with, let's say, again, if you have to work with a task that's related to an infrastructure, then this task will take lots of time for you, and you most likely will need some help. So it will be like very fair situation, and you will avoid some stress when you're not delivering really on time, and people will know that it's okay. Regularly ask your manager and your senior colleagues for feedback. It's very important to know how your colleagues see you and the team, because they can give you some recommendations, or you will just, let's say, understand how people see you. And this feedback will not always be very fair, very objective, very actionable, but it's very important to know, because you want to be seen as a professional and as a capable developer who is doing the work well, but maybe the perception of you will be somewhat different from what you think it is, and it's very important to know. Contribute. This is the most important part. So you will be hired to contribute to the results that your team is delivering. So the sooner you start delivering work, the better. Start picking the simplest tasks that you can do. It will help you to build confidence and also will help you to build credibility as a developer. Learn to deliver work on time and at the expected quality that other developers deliver. Let's say if you start in a team and you have, let's say, I don't know, 6 to 12 months of experience, then probably you will not be able to deliver functionality that more senior developers can do. But gradually need to get to that level. And expect that the first pull request that you will be submitting for review, they will get lots of comments. And there's no need to get frustrated about that, because first of all, developers in your team will most likely be very curious about how you write code. You're a new person, it's very interesting how you solving problems and so on, just curious. And they will also be looking for an opportunity to help you, to understand that you're coping with the tasks, and also maybe show off a little bit to show that they know some things that you don't know yet, and it will be good for you to know. Don't get frustrated with that feedback. Just try to address it, be nice, polite. If you actually feel that you are getting too many comments on your pull requests and you just can't deliver work, and feel that someone is really picky and it's a bit unfair, then just talk to your manager. It's totally valid thing to raise with your manager, because you and the person who's, let's say, is very strict during code review may have very different expectations, and out of that some misunderstandings can happen. Try to work only on the tasks that are part of the team backlog or part of the sprint plan. It will depend on how you call it planned work, depending on the company you join or the team you join. It's very tempting to, let's say, read an article and then find some interesting approach and try it next day at work. It sounds cool. It's very satisfying, and you can, let's say, demonstrate that you learned something new and want to share it with the team. But quite often, work like that has not been planned just adds more, requires more effort from your teammates' review and test and comment. So it will be most likely not really helping too much, and it will just reduce the team productivity. And also, if you're not working on the task from the backlog, it will probably be a sign that you cannot really manage priorities, which is not a good thing to do. And as you get more confidence, then just move to more complex tasks with high priority. So, which is, I think, is very clear. So that was probably a lot of information. So I just wanted to sum it up. So when you started at your new job, make sure that you have your development environment set up and you are familiar with the tools and practices that your team uses, that you understand how the team operates, how they work together, ask for help, review code, plan work, make technical decisions. Then establish professional relationships with your colleagues, understand what they are really good at, who you can learn from, and maybe try to build some more friendly relationships. Learn the tools, stacks, and practices that your team uses. Just keep on getting better at them constantly. Then reinforce. Try to find a way to reinforce your strengths, and try to find a way to either eliminate or manage your weaknesses, and constantly deliver your best work. Because that's the key to success. It's the most important part. All right. Best of luck at your first or second or third software development job. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.